Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaymudiret. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Agdanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshudunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, instructions by Maharaja Prthu, Canto 4, Chapter 21, verse 1. Maitreya Uvacha. मौक्तिकैकुसुमश्रग्भिर्दुकूलैः स्वर्णतोरणैः महासुरभिभिर्धूपैर्मण्डितं तत्र तत्र वै. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the king entered his city, it was very beautifully decorated to receive him with pearls, flower garlands, beautiful cloth, and golden gates, and the entire city was perfumed with highly fragrant incense. Real opulence is supplied by natural gifts such as gold, silver, pearls, valuable stones, fresh flowers, trees, and silken cloth. Hmm, Real opulence. Thus, the Vedic civilization recommends opulence and decoration with these natural gifts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such opulence immediately changes the condition of the mind, and the entire atmosphere becomes spiritualized. King Pruthu's capital was decorated with such highly opulent decorations. And today it's all like plastic. And today it's plastic, glass. All this is low class. As for Vedic civilization, this is the high class. Chandana Guru Toyardra Rathya Chatwara Margavat Pushpakshataphalays Taktokmair Lajer Archirbhir Architam. Fragrant water distilled from sandalwood and aguru herb was sprinkled everywhere on the lanes, roads, and small sparks throughout the city. And everywhere were decorations of unbroken fruits, flowers, wetted grains, varied minerals, and lamps, all presented as auspicious paraphernalia. So, by this, we can understand how we have to celebrate. I mean, of course, in India, we know most of this, hmm, how we celebrate festivals. So, yeah. सवृण्डै कदलीस्तम्भै पूगपोतै परिष्कृतां तरुपल्लवमालाभिः सर्वतः समलङ्कृतम्. At the street crossings, there were bunches of fruits and flowers, as well as pillars of banana trees and betel nut branches. All these combined decorations everywhere looked very attractive. प्रजास्तं दीपबलिभिः संवृत्ताशेषमङ्गलैः अभियुर्मृष्टकन्याश्च मृष्टकुण्डलमण्डिताः. As the king entered the gate of the city, all the citizens received him with many auspicious articles like lamps, flowers, and yogurt. The king was also received by many beautiful unmarried girls whose bodies were bedecked with various ornaments, especially with earrings which collided with one another. Uh, Kanya, Kanya means young girls, unmarried girls. Offerings of natural products such as betel nuts, bananas, newly grown wheat, paddy, yogurt, and vermilion, carried by the citizens and scattered throughout the city, are all auspicious paraphernalia according to Vedic civilization for receiving a prominent guest like a bridegroom, king, or spiritual master. Similarly, a welcome offered by unmarried girls who are internally and externally clean and are dressed in nice garments and ornaments is also auspicious. Kumari, or unmarried girls untouched by the hand of any member of the opposite sex are auspicious members of of society. Even today in Hindu society, the most conservative families do not allow unmarried girls to go out freely or mix with boys. Hmm. This used to be the practice before, till the British came and spoiled everything. They're very carefully protected by their parents while unmarried. After marriage, they're protected by their young husbands, and when elderly, they're protected by their children. When thus protected, women as a class remain an always auspicious source of energy to man and to the society as a whole. This is Vedic civilization, not independence, freedom, mixing, free mixing, and all this is not the way of life. So, um, actually, we've seen actually in many mm, uh, farm communities, especially where children, we've seen children who grown up in those communities, and they're so well trained. Girls, boys are trained in brahmacharya, girls are trained in, you know, culture, homemaking, etc. Right? And then actually, we've seen some, marriages of young kids, like in Vedic times. And it is this the culture they bring and how they live, after marriage, and all very nice and totally uncontaminated, by the modern civilization. And so it feels nice actually when we just look at it. Maybe when we hear this, it might seem to us impractical, but when we actually see this in practice, we feel like really inspired. There's one video. Let me see if I get it. There's one video of a marriage. I think two marriages which happened in one farm community in Gujarat called Nandagram. Somebody had shared it, and it was a beautiful experience. Even the marriage itself was a beautiful experience, completely Vedic way. And of course, the boys and girl. If you look at them, because they've been brought up in a Vaishnava community and they're like so effulgent, and it felt very nice, if at all the whole society can become like this. Yeah, but this is the standard. This is what is going to help us make spiritual progress. Shankadundubighoshen brahmaghoshen chattvijam vivesha bhavanam veera Suyamano gatasmayah. When the king entered the palace, conch shells and kettle drums were sounded, priests chanted Vedic mantras, professional reciters offered different prayers. But in spite of all this ceremony to welcome him, the king was not the least bit affected, meaning he didn't feel proud. Hmm. The reception given to the king was full of opulence, yet he did not become proud. It is said, therefore, that great personalities of power and opulence never become proud. The example is given that a tree which is full of fruits and flowers does not stand erect in pride. So nice. But instead bends downwards to show submissiveness. This is a sign of wonderful character of great personalities. It's so beautiful. It's not that people who have power and opulence, they should not become proud. Great personalities, they never become proud. Not so great personalities, when they get this and they don't really deserve it, and they become proud. Great personalities don't become proud and they use all of it in Krishna's service because they know it's not mine, it's all Krishna. Mm. And see, look at this. They do not stand in pride. They don't stand in erect in pride, but instead bend downwards to show submissiveness. This is the great quality that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants all of us to develop. Nadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amani namana dena kirtanya sadaharihi. That is a sign of of wonderful character of great personalities. Mm. Actually, the more we can develop this, the more we can make progress in Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, our innate nature, is to stand erect in pride. Mm, mm. And actually, these kind of anarthas, Guru can actually quash it, kill it. Yesterday in one class I was studying. Um, this is one thing that actually my Guru Maharaj mm, killed in me very early. Uh, Even there are remnants, but it's not as bad as it was before. So this of achieving something, having done something, all that pride. Actually, Guru sees through his you know transcendental vision, and then he can actually kill it. And if this is not developed, then we cannot really make progress. So it's okay to have anarthas, but we should go to the Guru with the intention that these anarthas should get destroyed. Unwanted things. Anarthas means unwanted things. Mm. And we have to develop this bending downwards. And Gopi Turkamalayo, Padakamalayo, Dasa, 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 Anudasa. Mm. So Dasa, 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 like this, multiple times removed. Mm. So um, we should always try to be in the background and let things happen. If somehow Krishna is making us instrumental in something to happen, okay, good. We are engaged nicely in Krishna service, but we should never uh, think that I have done it. When we think I have done it, is then when we stand erect in pride. When we understand it's all Krishna, we are just instruments somehow. Krishna has fortunately allowed us to be part of this service. Then we bend downwards. Mm, Actually, very important characteristic. पूजित पूजयामास तत्र तत्र महायशाः पौरान् जानपदां स्तां प्रीतप्रियवरप्रदः. Both the important citizens and the common citizens welcomed the king very heartily, and he also bestowed upon them their desired blessings. A responsible king was always approachable by his citizens. A responsible leader is always approachable by his dependents. Generally, the citizens, great and common, all had an aspiration to see the king and take benediction from him. The king knew this, and therefore, whenever he met the citizens, he immediately fulfilled their desires or mitigated their grievances. Of course, fulfilled their desires means in Vedic civilization, people never used to have illegitimate desires or, unnecessary too much of sense gratification. It is just basic maintenance, and mostly it is mitigating grievances, if at all. No, no. In such dealings, a responsible monarchy is better than a so-called democratic government, in which no one is responsible to mitigate the grievances of the citizens. Who is there today? Who is going to listen to our problems? In fact, those people who are supposed to solve our problems are creating problems for us. Mm. It's all useless, this democracy. Who are unable to personally meet the supreme executive head. In a responsible monarchy, the citizens had no grievances against the government, and even if they did, they could approach the king directly for immediate satisfaction. Immediate. So we can understand why our life in modern times is so topsy-turvy. Prabhupada has spoken about this multiple times. It's because of lack of responsible monarchy. He said democracy means demon crazy. All demons, and they're crazy, and they come together and form government by the people, of the people, for the people, whatever. Prabhupada said, Andayata Ande Rupaniyamana. So leader is blind, everybody following him is blind. So what will happen? They'll all fall into the ditch. That's all. That is modern government, modern politics, modern administration. But this is required. We need responsible monarchy, not like communist, autocratic nonsense. Not like that also. Be responsible. A responsible monarch is always under the guidance of a qualified Brahmana or Brahmanas. That is a responsible monarchy. Not accumulating tax for their own sense gratification, which is what modern government is all about. Prabhupada always used to say, government charges tax on innocent common men to just pay fat salary checks. That's all of government officials who are actually not doing anything for the people, though they're taking their money. Mm. This is a view, Prabhupada's view on modern politics and administration, etc. स एवमादीन्यनवद्य चेष्टितः कर्माणि भूयांसि महान् महत्तमः कुर्वन् च शशासावनि मण्डलं यशः Pitam nidhaya ruruhe parampadam. King Pruthu was greater than the greatest soul and was therefore worshipped by everyone. He performed many glorious activities in ruling over the surface of the world and was always magnanimous. After achieving such great success and a reputation which spread throughout the universe, he at last obtained the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead. So this is the conclusion, and that ultimately he achieved lotus feet of personality of Godhead. Means he achieved perfection of life, and he also, when he was present, he was very worshipable, and he performed glorious activities. That glorious activities was mm, that he flattened the surface of the earth. We studied all that. Mm, because all the food grains were blocked inside the earth because of sinful s- people. So he brought those out, produced vegetation, provided way of living for people, occupation, etc. So and so many things he did. He did all so many sacrifices, etc. So after such great success and reputation, which spread throughout the universe, he at last obtained the lotus feet. This is the most important part. If this was not there, he would have been just an ordinary king, maybe a great king. If he had done only up to this, a great king, yeah. But this was the extraordinary. This is the extraordinary bit that he at last obtained. So from this, we can also see that if even if somebody is like very dutifully engaged in their material duties, whatever it is, as long as their focus is on devotion, they will achieve success. But focus has to be devotion. That is possible only for like extraordinary, devotees like Pruthu, King Pruthu, who were, so busy with their material duties, but yet were always absorbed in Krishna. A responsible king or chief executive has many responsible duties to attend in ruling over the citizens. The most important duty of the monarch or the government is to perform various sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literatures. No, where does any government do any sacrifices? They're all secular governments, atheistic government. They call themselves secular, but we can actually call them atheistic governments. They don't really fear the presence of a supreme lord. The next duty of the king is to see that every citizen executes the prescribed duties for his particular community. And Prabhupada says this is secular government. Secular government doesn't mean becoming religionless. Secular government means allowing citizens to follow whatever religion they want to follow, but to make sure that they follow it properly. Mm. It is the king's duty to see that everyone perfectly executes the duties prescribed for the Varna and Ashrama divisions of society. So Prabhupada says in lecture explaining this, saying that king has to see that a Brahmana is doing his work, a Vaishya is doing his work, Shudra is doing his work. Brahmana's work is to see that the Kshatriya is doing his work. So mutual, like this. Besides that, as exemplified by King Pruthu, he must develop the earth for the greatest possible production of food grains, which he showed. There are different types of great personalities. Some are positive great personalities, some comparative, and some superlative. But King Prithvi exceeded all of them. He is therefore described as Mahattamaha, greater than the greatest. He was a Kshatriya and he discharged his Kshatriya duties perfectly. Similarly, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, and Shudras can discharge their respective duties perfectly, and thus at the ultimate end of life be promoted to the transcendental world which is called Parampadam. Parampadam or the Vaikuntha planets can be achieved only by devotional service. The impersonal Brahman region is also called Parampadam. But unless one is attached to the person of Godhead, one must again fall down to the material world from the impersonal Parampadam situation. They said, therefore, Aruhya Krishrena Parampadam Tataha Patanti. The impersonalists endeavor very strenuously to achieve the Parampadam or impersonal Brahmajyoti, but unfortunately being bereft of a relationship with the Supreme Lord. And this is the most beautiful part of Krishna consciousness. Hmm, is this reviving our relationship with Krishna. Otherwise, it just looks like any other temple worship, going to the temple, doing some kirtan, taking some prasadam, etc. Of course, madam, we do. Our focus is on Shravanam because the idea is to actually revive this relationship, and that's when actually the jiva actually becomes happy. Not in just doing this, ritualistic, going to the temple, doing some puja, offering some dakshina, etc. It's okay, but it'll take us ages to actually come to the platform building a relationship. But in ISKCON, the focus is actually directly on building the relation or reviving the relationship with Krishna. So when Jiva comes to Krishna and first realizes that, oh, I'm Dasa of Krishna, first relationship, foundational relationship established. Just by the establishment of that relationship, devotees actually become happy, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, um, uh, what is that? Bhoktaram Ignatapasam Sarvalokam Heshunam Suhrutam Sarvabhutanam Gnatva Mam Shantim Ruchati. So when devotees understand, okay, I'm Krishna's Dasa, he's the Ishvara, I'm his Dasa, and he is my Surud, he's my friend, he's my well-wisher. Yat Gnatva Shantim Ruchati. Oh, okay, now I'm peaceful. Now I'm not worried. So simple. So simple. Just by understanding this, one can become happy, peaceful, and happy. Uh, so this relationship is not there in this impersonal business, because they just think that it's some energy without any source, or that itself is the source. So such people, they put so much of austerity, so much of tapasya, to go to impersonal Brahmajyoti, because it's not easy. This is liberation. So they go to Brahmajyoti, but they again fall down. What a waste! What a waste! They go all the way till Brahmajyoti, nothing to do, no positive engagement. They negated everything, naiti, 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 not this, not this, not this. Okay. They negated everything of the material world. And they achieved, which is not the material world, which is spiritual world. But they don't have any positive information about the spiritual world. They don't know that Supreme Lord is present as a person, beautiful, attractive, ready to establish, loving relationship with us. They don't know that. If one flies in outer space, he can go very high up. But unless he reaches a planet, he must come down again to earth. Similarly, because the impersonalists who reach the Parampadam of the impersonal Jyoti do not enter into the Vaikuntha planets, they come down again to this material world and are given shelter in one of the material planets. Although they might attain Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, all such planets are situated in the material world. So Prabhupada is saying they might go to Brahmajyoti, they come down and they might attain Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, which is topmost planet, but still it is in the material world. Again, they have to come back, and if they're fortunate, they will associate with some devotees, get do devotional service, then go back to Vaikuntha. They're unfortunate, or their desire is not to, there's so much averse to personal form of the Lord, then they'll fall down to the lower planets. They'll come to Bhuloka. They'll do social work, mm, like this. So, even in achieving, the topmost mm, destinations, we have to be clear that we should not get stuck in the middle. This impersonal Brahmajyoti is getting stuck in the middle. And again coming down, and again, we'll have to work a little more to actually make progress. Suta Uvacha. Tadadi Rajasya Yasho Vijrambitam Guneraşeşer Kshatta Mahabhagavata Sadaspate Kausharavim Kausharavim Praha Grinanthamar Archayan. Suta Goswami continued, O Shaunaka, leader of the great sages, after hearing Maitreya speak about the various activities of King Prthu, the original king, who was fully qualified, glorified, and widely praised all over the world, Vidura, the great devotee, very submissively worshipped Maitreya Rishi and asked him the following question. See, Vidura and Maitreya have been conversing from third canto. Hmm. Still, because he was a great devotee, before asking, again very submissively worshipping, before we ask something from somebody superior to us, we have to be very submissive. We have to serve them. Tadviti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam gnaninas tattvadarshinaha. And then ask question, very submissively, humbly, serve them. And then, um, without pride, in a submissive mood, ask question. Vidaruvacha. So Sobhishikta Pruthurviprair Labdha Shesha Surarhanaha Bibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Bahor Yabhyam Dudhoha Gam. Vidura said, my dear Brahmana, Maitreya, it is very enlightening to understand that King Prithu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas. All the demigods presented him with innumerable gifts, and he also expanded his influence upon personally receiving strength from Lord Vishnu. Thus he greatly developed the earth. Because Prthu Maharaj was an empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu and was naturally a great Vaishnava devotee of the Lord, all the demigods were pleased with him and presented different gifts to help him in exercising his royal power. And the great sages and saintly persons also joined in his coronation. Many devotees who are in the initial stages of bhakti, they come and ask, we've been worshipping demigods all our life. What will happen if we just leave them? Why should we leave them? Because Krishna says, I am, worshipping all these demigods is avidhi, is not vidhi, is not approved actually. It's just for uh, people who are lusty, who want sense gratification, that they go to demigods. And after all, what do they get? They get paltry, some temporary results. Mm. So he says, okay, don't stop demigod worship. Mm. So then people are worried, oh, so what will happen? Will they become angry? No. If you come to Krishna or Vishnu, all demigods are pleased. All demigods will be pleased and they'll actually help us. So we don't have to be worried that somebody is going to come behind us. Oh, what? I mean, if any demigods want to come behind us, what can we do really? We can't do anything really. And if that was the case, why would anybody take such a big risk? But Krishna has said, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Rajam Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayashami. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry. So we don't have to worry about anybody. Nothing will happen. Krishna is there. Thus, blessed by them, he ruled over the earth and exploited its resources for the greatest satisfaction of the people in general. In the right way, exploited the resources not in a wrong way, as required, as it is meant to be. This has already been explained in the previous chapters regarding the activities of King Prthu. As will be apparent from the next verse, every executive head of state should follow in the footsteps of Maharaja Prthu in ruling over his kingdom. Regardless of whether the chief executive is a king or president, or whether the government is monarchical or democratic, this process is so perfect that if it is followed, everyone will become happy, and thus it will be very easy for all to execute devotional service to the Supreme Person of Godhead. We have to follow in the footsteps of Maharaja Prithu, then everyone will be happy because they'll be allowed, able to execute devotional service. Only that is the only way, means to happiness. Apart from devotional service, there's nothing else which can actually make us happy. कोन्वस् कोन्वस्य कीर्तिं न शृणोति अभिघ्नो यद्विक्रमोच्छिष्टमाशेषभूपाः लोकासपाला उपजीवन्ति कामम् अद्यापि तन्मे वद कर्म शुद्धम्. Prthu Maharaj was so great in his activities and magnanimous in his method of ruling that all the kings and demigods on various planets still follow in his footsteps. Who is there who will not try to hear about his glorious activities? I wish to hear more and more about Prthu Maharaj because his activities are so pious and auspicious. And Vidura's purpose in hearing about Prthu Maharaj over and over again was to set an example for ordinary kings and executive heads who should all be inclined to hear repeatedly about Prthu Maharaj's activities in order to also be able to rule over the kingdoms or states very faithfully for the peace and prosperity of the people in general. Hmm. So Vidura is saying all politicians should actually hear about Prithu Maharaj. Unfortunately, at the present moment, no one cares to hear about Prithu Maharaj or to follow in his footsteps. Therefore, no nation in the world is either happy or progressive in spiritual understanding, although that is the sole aim and objective of human life. The sole aim and objective of human life is making progress in spiritual understanding. Yesterday we were discussing who is a gnani. Is one who actually understands that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, and then there's also Paramatma who understands these things. Actually, he is the one in real knowledge, and that is the real knowledge that one has to gain as a human being, because that is the sole aim and objective of human life, and that is the ABCD. And then one makes progress slowly, coming up to the stage of building a relationship with Krishna. That is the sole aim and objective of life, human life, not like animalistic sense gratification. That's not the aim of life. Yeah, like we've discussed this multiple times, we can always live comfortably, uh, just keeping the soul and body together, so that we can make progress in spiritual understanding. Mm. Bhagavatam says, saying that, the goal of work is not sense gratification. Mm. It's not sense gratification. Goal of dharma is not kama. Mm. Goal of dharma is jiveta, just preservation, self-preservation. So that jivasya tattva jignasa, so that one can actually do tattva jignasa, understanding spiritual stuff and making progress. That is the idea of people and their vritti, their occupation, etc., etc., which is all completely today. Nobody has an idea. Everybody thinks we are earning money to enjoy life. What is this enjoy life? Of course, we are meant to enjoy life, but we should know how to enjoy life first of all. Otherwise, we're just binding ourselves, putting ourselves in more problems and suffering. Where is their happiness? Maitreya Uvacha. Gangayamanayornaddyorantarakshetramavasam arabdhanyeva bubuje bhogan punyajihasaya. Great saintly sage Maitreya told Vidura, my dear Vidura, King Pruthu lived in the tract of land between two great rivers, Ganga and Yamuna. Because he was very opulent, it appeared that he was enjoying his destined fortune in order to diminish the results of his pious activities. Meaning, punya, when you have happiness in your life, material happiness, that means your punya is being used up, diminish the results of pious activity. Terms pious and impious are applicable only in reference to activities of an ordinary living being. But Maharaja Prithu was a directly empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, he was not subject to the reactions of pious or impious activities. As we have already explained previously, when a living being is especially empowered by the Supreme Lord for a particular purpose, he is called Shaktavesha avatar. Prthu Maharaj was not only a Shaktavesha avatar but also a great devotee. A devotee is not subjected to the resultant reactions from past deeds. See, karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. For devotees, the results of past pious and impious activities are nullified. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam shanam braja. Am tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami. Nullified by the Supreme Person of Godhead. The words arabdhan eva mean as if achieved by past deeds. But in the case of Pruthu Maharaj, there is no question of reaction to past deeds. And thus the word eva is used here to indicate comparison to ordinary persons, just like them. Mm. But he is not a he was a Shaktavesha. Forget about Shaktavesha. Even a devotee, an ordinary devotee, who is not like an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, it's not like Shaktavesha avatar or anything. Even an ordinary devotee, if he does devotion and makes progress, all his karma phala is destroyed. Then no more suffering. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Avajananti ma moodaha. This means that sometimes people misunderstand an incarnation of the Supreme Person of Godhead to be an ordinary man. Supreme Godhead, his incarnations or his devotees may pose themselves as ordinary men, but they were never to be considered as such. Sakshat Haritvena Guru Samasta Shastra. So, Guru, Vaishnavas, we should treat them. Sakshat Haritvena, just like Lord, Supreme Lord. Nor should an ordinary man, not supported by authorized statements of Shastras and Acharyas, be accepted as an incarnation or devotee. Hmm. So devotee also means there are qualifications, there's how a devotee needs to live as per Shastra. Incarnation, absolutely. There are clear indications of who are the incarnations. So unless a person is authorized, meaning as per Shastra, his name is there, like Kalki's name is there, his father's name is there, city where he's going to be born is there, only by evidence of Shastra. By evidence of Shastra, Sanatana Goswami detected Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be a direct incarnation of Krishna. Although Lord Chaitanya never disclosed this fact, it is therefore generally recommended that the Acharya or Guru should not be accepted as an ordinary man. He should not be accepted as an ordinary man, but if he has to be accepted as an avatara, then there has to be evidence in Shastra. Not like somebody comes and says, I am God. What is the proof you are God? I will give you apple from Kabul. I will give you, 1 gram gold. Some nonsense. And people think, oh wow, this is amazing. He must be God if he has so much power. Whatever is happening in this material world, Krishna says, Ekam Shena Stito Jagat. Whatever is happening in this material, whatever wonders we are seeing in this material world, is just one drop of the power of Krishna. So if somebody is displaying a drop of or a drop of drop, right? Because the whole material world is only a drop. In that, if somebody has achieved some siddhis, that's like a drop, like a small particle of the drop. Somebody who has small particle of the drop of the power that Krishna has, how can he become Krishna? It's a very simple thing to, simple logic to understand. But Prabhupada says people are so foolish, they want to be cheated, they go to cheaters. Mm. So we have to, if we are sincere, then we will not get cheated. That's the important part. Then we'll come to Prabhupada. In Kali Yuga, unfortunately, there's nobody else to go to. If you go to other sampradayas, most of them want you to be born in some certain family, certain qualifications, etc. But Prabhupada only is so generous. Real benevolence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he demonstrated. Gave Krishna to everybody, irrespective of birth. Okay, long purport. Okay, I think we'll stop here. Okay, any questions, comments? Nothing much. We didn't discuss much today. Okay, we'll.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Vinod Prabhu.
And that's Pranam, Prabhu.
Pranam Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, yeah, I mean, see, these are beautiful descriptions of the Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, even when I was reading chapter 11, Bhagavad Gita, right? The universal form, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Arjuna is saying Parabrahma, Parandhama, and all that, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
basically, I mean, like, just to conceive that Krishna is, the shelter of everything that is moving and non-moving, somehow,
Mm-hmm.
my brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's mental speculation, but still I'm not able to, I don't know if I will ever able to get to understand all of this, right, bro? I know we're hearing, but when does this realization come? I mean, I'm just thinking
What
of,
realization? What realization? That Krishna is the source
uh,
of everything?
yes. I mean, like
Oh,
understanding that
so-
he's everything that is, I mean, he's the shelter of everything,
okay.
right? So,
Let's discuss for 2 minutes and see if we can get
yes, bro.
anywhere. Okay. If it is not Krishna, what else is it, or who else is it? See, okay, it's a simple
Yeah, I
logic.
mean,
It's not us, right?
correct.
It's not
They're
us.
definitely not as
It's
definitely
definitely not us. Now it
not
must be
random.
somebody else who is like some super qualified person. Is there anybody else we can think of who can even go closer to the position of Krishna? Having heard about Krishna, having
No.
heard about demigods, having heard about Vishnu, having heard about everything else, it's a
Hmm.
simple logic to apply, saying that it's not me, it's neither of
Correct.
these demigods because they're also running behind Supreme Lord, saying that please help, right?
Right. Right.
Tenanatrinamapina chalati. Nothing is going. I mean, and we are seeing in Puranas, like demigods are saying, okay, you think we are great people? No, no, no. I mean, we couldn't even come together and help bring this creation about. Then, we all went to Supreme Lord and prayed to him, saying that, boss, kuch nahi ho raha hai. You've given all the ingredients, but we're not able to do anything meaningful. Please help. And
Hmm.
then Vishnu says, okay, fine. Don't worry. I'm here. Again, he enters all the elements. So
Hmm.
demigods only know. I mean, we have so much power, but if Krishna doesn't enable that power to be used in a
Correct.
particular way, no use.
Hmm.
Arjuna was such so much power. What was the use? I mean, 1 second, all power gone,
Yes.
right?
I mean,
So
and
from
Arjuna
all
is
this
also
hearing,
Baba
it's
Sabyasachi. Correct.
yeah. I
Yes.
mean, from all this, we can clearly understand saying that nobody seems to be independent. The only person who is
Correct. Hmm.
independent has to be the source of everything. Simple.
Hmm.
So it's a realization is still far off, right? This is just
Yeah. So
simple
that's
knowledge.
true.
Simple
Hmm.
knowledge and logic to understand. Actual
Hmm.
realization means actually seeing him as the cause of all causes, right? Which will require us to go even still further, into first of all, we need to have faith in something, right? To be able to realize it,
Correct.
right?
Yeah,
And the
because
faith
yeah.
and the faith is simply based on logical Shravanam. That is why Prabhupada gives so
Hmm.
much of logic in his books. Otherwise, which previous Acharya has talked so much logic in his, in the in way of convincing all these concepts? Prabhupada has given logic
Right.
because he knows
Hmm.
Kali Yuga people want logic. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very simple application of this logic saying that, yeah, I mean, who else is there? If there's somebody else, okay, then we can accept him. Doesn't seem to be
Mm-hmm.
anything after her having heard all this. So it must be Krishna. And of course, then great personalities have said, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, Brahma has said. That's what Arjuna is telling. Saying that I understood, but it's not that I am only telling. Other great people also who are great brains, who are great
Mm-hmm.
personalities, great who have had big positions, they're also saying you are the supreme. So I accept. Simple.
Correct, correct. I mean, unless we're completely convinced of this, right? Very strongly convinced. I mean, I don't know. I mean, every time mind cheats us, right? Every
Yeah,
time,
but here there is
yeah,
no,
that,
Prabhu, there is no logic. There is no other logic at all.
correct,
I'm
Prabhu. Yes,
saying, I'm
yes.
saying even if there was a iota of some logic which could, which may, seem like, okay, maybe this theory also might be, it can compete with the theory that Krishna is Sarva Karana Karana. But there isn't anything even closely, right? The
Mm-hmm.
scientists are talking about, yeah, what is scientists' approach to this? Scientists are saying that energy itself is independent,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, their thing
right?
is just everything random and Big Bang theory, and
Yeah, so
so
we are
so
not, we are
basically,
not there, right? We are not that,
yeah.
we're not in
So
that category, right? That is super
correct, correct.
foolish.
It's not even science. Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Mm-hmm.
Right. So then there isn't really anything else if you just think about it. There isn't really anything
Mm-hmm.
else. There isn't any
Correct.
other theory, any other concept, anything which can stand opposite to this and say, no, no, no. See, look at this. This seems more promising. There isn't anything like that.
No, no,
So
correct.
intelligence is elimination. 1980, none of these. Okay, finally it's only him who's there. Simple. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataj.
I just want to ask something which is, it's not pertaining to the class, it's a question somebody asked. Prabhu, when you say we got mood swings, what is
Mm-hmm.
it? Is actually three modes of nature,
Oh, yeah,
hormonal
yeah.
changes, or karma?
Crazy mind. Crazy mind manifesting the mood, which is being controlled by the modes of nature, which is controlled by karma. All the three. You answered
Okay.
in all the three three concepts you said are working together for
Yeah, yeah.
mood swings.
Because somebody asked me this, and I gave this. I said like it has to be modes of this thing. So I just wanted to know if
Yeah. Is the
like what
mind
is
controlled by the modes of nature, which is controlled by karma?
mind can. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Which is controlled by the nonsense desires we have. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Jai. Close your Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo ki jai. Samaveta Gauravantam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Pranam, pranam to everybody.